end did Kung Fu Frankenstein lay beneath the earth for over 200 years, fermenting with the pu'er tea leaves until he was resurrected by the radioisotope. Oh, sweet gave us hope, that blessed radioisotope. Welcome to episode number 9 of Slam and Stan. This is Vandal Drummond and Fredo Esparza. Alfredo, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good. Did you take a nap during the introduction?
That song, I could never sleep through that song.
Did that wake you up?
It woke me up. In fact, for all of you out there, I was just telling Alfredo, I'm going on 2 hours sleep from last night. Fredo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, for some reason it sounded like we got cut off. Well, as I was saying, I got a total of 2 hours sleep last night, and I feel very awake, but I don't know if I'm in some sort of denial, so I don't know if I'm just talking nonsense at this moment, or if I feel as efficient as I actually am, or no, I'm talking gibberish.
This week we have lots to talk about now, so you don't have to worry about having to come up with new topics on the fly.
Yeah, this is 1 week where there is no shortage of talk.
There's actually a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, we won't be talking about anything WWE related, so there's...
Exactly, there is nothing to talk about in that respect.
Actually, there is actually one thing.
What is that?
Earlier today, Chris Jericho was on one of the local channels here promoting Summerfest. Summerfest,
yes.
He was promoting it, and the one of the news anchors was wearing a Nacho Libre mask. So you can imagine. And Jericho.
Oh my Lord, that's excellent.
The cool thing was Jericho was speaking in Spanish half the time, and then the guy started it's a Spanish show on channel, so the guy starts speaking to him in English, and Jericho looks at him. You speak English? Why didn't you just talk to me in English in the first place? But I thought it was entertaining.
Chris Jericho is the best thing the WWE has right now.
You know, the funny thing is they had it was two news anchors, and the female news anchor was telling Jericho that he talking about all the styles he knows, Japanese, lucha, American, Canadian, and she's talking about all this stuff, and then the guy asked him, "Do you know who Rey Mysterio is?" I'm like, dude. and Chris Jericho just goes, "Yes, I do know him. We've wrestled each other and all this stuff." I'm like, dude, don't you watch this stuff? Because they made it sound like they watched the
I was going to say, when she's talking about all the different styles, I would half expect, whoa, she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, and then I figured, well, actually it was the guy who asked, but they both knew about lucha. But I'm guessing they must have read something about him before doing the show.
Possibly. Maybe they did like a little cram session before the show started.
They read his book, which you could actually read in one day. So, not that it's bad or anything.
I heard it's a good read. I haven't read it yet, but so it's a pretty quick read, is it?
Yeah, I mean, well, all wrestling books are pretty quick.
This is true.
Except for that NWA title, or what was that? The NWA World.
The history of the NWA, which actually is a really good historical book, but it's a pretty dry read as far as a page turner.
Oh, we got Dr. Lucha on the phone now.
We have Dr. Lucha on the phone, Mr. Sims.
On the podcast.
Oh my God.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
It is very good to hear your voice, Dr. Lucha.
Actually, I'm mostly calling in because I don't have access to my computer otherwise, and I really wanted to listen to the show live. I wanted Fredo to explain how he rated that absolutely fabulous Mistico tiger mask match so low.
Yes, in fact, that was going to be one of the first things we brought up is, as I'm certain anybody listening knows, that Mistico captured the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship from Tiger Mask number 4. And
someone on Brian Alvarez's podcast claimed it was 3 stars.
I resemble that remark.
It wasn't Dr. Lucha, right?
Now,
not a chance. But I know the guy, and he looks just like me.
Now, Dr. Lucha can concur with my comment I'm about to make because I emailed him last night. And it appears that Steve, you and I are both in.
We are We are alone at the end of the plank that the rest of the ship's crew have pointed their scabbards at us and made us walk the plank to the very end and tried to justify ourselves.
Yes, this is my impression when I started watching the match on YouTube last night. My very first impression, and first I want to start off by saying I am so unfamiliar with Tiger Mask 4. I'm so unfamiliar I can't even remember if I've seen him wrestle in the past or not.
I think you might have wrestled him.
then that would have been his worst match if that happened.
Wasn't he Punky Boy at Reno Paraguay?
Oh, Steve Sims, you're the only person besides me who remembers Ponky Boy. I briefly considered teaming with him under the name Honky Boy. But the first thing that struck me when I was watching the two of them work together is I said, I bet you these guys are very unfamiliar with each other. And as it turns out, you were telling Brian Alvarez today that this was the first time these two actually locked up. And the reason I say
in a match
that,
for sure, and it sure looked like they hadn't even worked out too many spots, did it?
Yes, because what struck me is they seemed comfortably unfamiliar with each other. They had not a classic match or anything, but it looks like they were really playing it safe, doing spots that they could execute, not trying to do an off-the-charts match at the risk of botching a zillion moves.
But then I told you, didn't I? I think I mentioned to you in my last email to you that I actually thought what was it I told you about it? I totally forgot now.
One thing you pointed out, Fredo, that I thought was right on was when Tiger Mask was working Mistico's leg very, consistently, and then Mistico just momentarily sold it, but then went through the rest of the match pretending like nothing was ever done to his leg.
Yeah, he was working the knee for about 2-3 minutes, and he even did a figure four, and all of a sudden he starts doing like that little backflip he does off the ropes, and then he does I think he did a tope to the outside. And
yes, he did.
He gets back in, and he's perfectly fine. He's still doing everything, and he just didn't sell anything. He didn't sell any of the knee being hurt.
Yeah, and that's a very good, because one of the things I was thinking, it would have been so bad if he worked the leg once or twice, but he was consistently banging away at that leg, as in saying, okay, let's tell a story here. But that said, I know people are really tearing this match to ribbons, and I've watched it twice, and I don't understand it.
You watched it more than anybody else, then.
Yes. In fact, we all heard Brian Alvarez listening. We listened to him watching it live on his show today, and he didn't say it sucked or anything, but
he did afterwards.
Maybe I'm just watching way too much, or maybe everybody's watching way too much wrestling, and I'm not watching enough wrestling, because I'm sitting there watching and saying, yeah, it's not a classic, but it reminded me a lot of the first time I saw Jushin Liger and Negro Casas wrestle each other, and it was.
I don't think it was that good. See,
their very first match they had together was a very tame match. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, it was just a 7-minute match in New Japan where they kind of got accustomed to each other right after Christmas of '89.
That's right. Yes, didn't that remind you a lot of this match?
Was it for the IWGP title though?
Oh no, it was like the second match on the card. It was like a big nothing.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I think that's what I told you towards the end. For an IWGP Junior title, it just didn't seem like it was. They didn't seem to want to do anything. It was. That's a good point. Is it definitely didn't have a championship feel to it. Yeah. However, I think the fact that they were so unfamiliar with each other, they chose to play it safe and let's have a passable match. And maybe when they get more familiar with each other, we'll see them kick ass a little later. I don't know. Fredo, you told me something about apparently Tiger Mask 4 has a reputation of just phoning in matches a lot. Well, I guess a lot of people they told me, like this one guy on the Figure 4 board mentioned, to be fair, this is what he said. He said, to be fair, he sucks all the time, basically. That was his, I abbreviated his comments, but I mean,
gotcha.
That's pretty much what he's shitty no matter what.
So that's not so much your take, but other people's take.
Yeah, other people. That was pretty much because I heard that other podcast that's on Figure 4, that Adam and Mike.
Adam and Mike.
Yeah, and they were pretty much just glad that they took the belt off of Tiger Mask 4. But I think the other thing might be that they were both baby faces. Aren't they both baby faces? I mean, isn't Tiger Mask 4 baby face in New Japan?
Generally, yes. How much did each of you take off of the match for the fact there was no crowd heat the entire match?
Well, that's what I noticed. The first thing I noticed was the crowd was dead, even for Japanese.
And actually, that struck me too. They politely enjoyed it. And I guess my question here was there much build-up for this match, or did they just kind of throw this championship match onto the show?
I think they mentioned it. That's it.
Because I'm wondering if...
It was announced in the magazines 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time.
Yeah.
There definitely wasn't... Yeah, I mean,
the deal was there was supposed to be... Mistico was supposed to come in and got canceled for the swine flu, and the fans, they felt they kind of promised the fans one thing, and they couldn't deliver with a special added attraction to the show. So they brought him back this time and said, not only are we going to bring him back, but we'll give him a title shot.
Okay, interesting. Because that's one of the things that was striking me is, did the fans not have a lot of vested interest in Mistico coming in? How much build-up was there?
I think we're better.
Well, they've only had a couple of matches with him, and both times he's been working in just one program, and then he goes away and he doesn't come back again for 3 or 4 months. The match doesn't air on TV, and they realize that he's supposed to be a superstar in his home country, but that's about all they know.
Yeah, that might explain some of it. And also, what kind of buzz does the junior heavyweight title have over there these days? I can remember when it was everything. When
their juniors are really. I've seen some of them, and they're really boring though. Like they're not the same as when in the '90s when you were like, oh my God, this guy's awesome. But maybe it's
not only that, but I was over there, Fredo, in Japan with Dave Meltzer and John Williams in '96 when they had the very first tournament to unify all like 8 or 9 championships. And, once you do that, then you go back to just having a match for one belt with a guy you haven't heard of before as opposed to 2 guys you know very well fighting for all 8 belts. I don't know that really matters too much these days, but it's just, it's easy to be a lot less exciting when you've got a person you're not really familiar with, and B, it's a belt that was just for a while was just one of 8. But I am interested how you guys feel about the crowd reaction and how much that takes away from the match, because I'm writing a piece I want to put together about the Mistico versus Ultimo Guerrero match from the tournament, the Block 2 tournament to crown the Universal Championship, and how much the crowd added to that match.
Where's this going to be? Where you write for? Who are you writing for?
for any publication that will take it.
Hey, StanTheEmbryo.com.
No one
in the world. LuchaWorld.com will be posting our new contributor, Steve. Dr.
Oh dear. Steve Sims, do you realize what you just did?
What?
Ever since I carried out,
just did, Steve Sims? You are starting a feud between Fredo. We're going to have a match. Winner gets to publish Dr. Lucha's column.
I think Dr. Lucha's his article is now going to be appearing in like 4 different websites, 4 or 5 different websites.
Well, since from the Wrestling Observer to Figure 4 to my own newsletter to the one article in Super Luchas, I've never gotten paid for anything. So I'll just take anybody that'll publish me.
The best payoff I got for writing anything was, of all magazines, Wrestling World. They actually paid $125.
When was this?
And if you had put on the bra and the panties and posed for the pictures in the back, you would have gotten $250.
Whoa.
This is true, yeah.
Kurt would have done it.
I'm still trying to get over that picture of you with blonde hair with Dr. Jerry in the latest Stan the Embryo.
Oh yeah, that was a wonderful night. That was at a Christmas party. That was Tom Hankins, who people might remember on the Phil Donahue episode years ago where he talked about Pat Patterson hitting on him, he worked for an adult bookstore in the Valley back in 1981, and they were having a Christmas party. And Tom told me and Lloyd Lee, says, "You guys got to bring the Doc." And that was me posing with the Doc. I was the designated driver, even though they didn't use that term back then.
You went out to Canoga Park for a Christmas party with the Doc?
Yes, I was his ride. I was his ride. And he was slamming him down, started screaming obscenities to everybody in the place, broke the table, and was kissing the hand of a guy. Once the guy told him that he was Armenian, the Doc just lit up and started kissing the guy's hand and said, "You're a beautiful cocksucker, you're Armenian, the fighting Armenians." And the poor man looked like he just wanted to get the hell out of there. It wound up that on that evening, Tom Hankins was fired from his job, and Lloyd and I drove the Doc back to his hotel. And that was the night when... Did
the Christmas party cause him to get fired?
Yes. Bringing Dr. Jerry Graham to the Christmas party is what got Tom Hankins fired, and he's very proud of that. He said he was looking for a way out of that job for a while. So, yeah, it took us about a half hour to walk Dr. Jerry Graham up to the third floor of the Imperial Hotel in downtown L.A., which was anything but Imperial. And... God, it was like around 2 in the morning. And when we were on the third floor, Lloyd was trying to keep the Doc, from falling over. And Doc grabbed Lloyd and threw him across the hall. And Lloyd was a good 6 foot tall, a big, stocky guy. We were shocked the Doc still had that in him. Fortunately, Lloyd wasn't hurt. He just looked very surprised. When we finally got to Doc's hotel room, he couldn't get the key into the keyhole, and so Lloyd opens the door for him. And when we open the door, the light is off, but the TV is on. And we look in his hotel room, and there was a blonde in his bed. And we're looking at each other like, how does he do it? Dr. Jerry Graham, he's in a flop house, he's, hit the skids, he's, a 50-something-year-old man with bleached blonde hair and 400 pounds, and he still has a chick in his bed. And then 2 days later, we went to the hotel and picked him up to take him to the lucha matches at Hadco Plaza. And he gets in the car, and we're like, "Hey, so Doc, who's that little piece you had upstairs the other night?" And he just fondly smiles and go, "Oh, that's Maxine. She's a sweet little thing. She's all woman. And he pauses and says, "Well, above the navel, she's all woman." And he said, we're trying to work up the money to get the rest of the operation taken care of, but she's a sweet thing.
He would have loved AAA, huh?
Doc would have been a perfect fit in AAA.
He would have loved watching it.
In fact, I remember even when ECW started coming into prominence in the mid-'90s, I thought, you know what? Dr. Jerry Graham was ahead of his time. These gimmicks were geared for somebody like him. And yes, he probably would have gotten along fine with all the exoticos in AAA.
Which did you watch this week's show?
Well, the first match was Gato Eveready, Aerostar, and Pimpinela.
And that was basically it.
Yep, I didn't watch the rest yet.
Did you watch the rape bondage skit?
No, and Fredo, you have to fill us in on this because I saw the hype for it on the Slammin Stand site here.
Well,
tell us.
I think Steve probably saw it already too, but it's La Hermandad cutting a promo, and they have this girl tied up to like these 2 poles or something, and she's scantily clad, and they're just like, I think one of them spanked her during it, but you have no idea what they're gonna do to her.
Oh my Lord!
So I made the comment. I thought it was a bondage thing, and then the Coach fan said, I kind of think they were gonna rape her.
I was going to say, when you're describing this, I'm picturing an old Herschel Gordon Lewis movie.
I have no idea why they would do that, considering they have the whole cookie jar thing supposedly coming out. And you know what I thought about? Remember that South Park episode, Imagination Land?
I love that episode.
Where Strawberry Shortcake is getting, I think she gets, they poke her eye out, don't they?
Well, that's the episode where a suicide bomber blows himself up amongst all the animated cartoon characters.
Yeah, and the furry, who are those, the happy furry animals or what are they called?
Well, I think Raggedy Andy lay dying in Raggedy Ann's arms.
You didn't watch the second one, did you?
Yes, I did.
You did? Well, you know when they let go of the evil cartoon characters, and the most evil cartoon characters are these three little furry or a couple of furry animals.
Oh, isn't that a different episode?
No, I think it's the second part.
No, I think that was a separate episode.
No, it's the second part. I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, Steve. Steve,
now
you started the feud between Fredo and Vandal Drummond.
Now we're arguing.
Now you guys disagree about two things.
Yeah. Winner gets to be right about South Park.
Has Fredo ever been to Gil's gym?
Of course not.
No, he has not. That's a bummer. That was one of the saddest days of my life, is when I went to Gil's and Gil said, we're closing shop.
Any gym. Right, Kurt? I've never been in any gym. I'm proud of it.
He's the anti-gymnast. And, Steve Sims, you've been to Gil's.
I have been to Gil's. I've seen Mistico Nuclear actually get chewed out.
Oh, by who?
By the trainer.
Polo.
Oh, by who?
There's
He wasn't working. How's the best way to put it? He wasn't quite putting as much energy behind his mat work as he should have.
Yeah, actually, Marco Polo liked him a lot, and a lot of Gil and Marco Polo and a lot of those guys. I don't know if it's this way with a lot of lucha teachers, but when they like you, they rag on you a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, they harp on you hard, and Jeff was a much better worker than I was, and I could tell because Marco Polo was always riding him, and he was always telling me, you're doing fine, which meant I suck.
That's bad, Kurt. Come on, you were pretty good, Kurt. Don't put yourself down.
I tried. I did my best.
You did your best. Didn't I always say when I saw your matches, hey, you're pretty good?
Yeah, yes, you did. God bless you, Fredo.
I said you were better than Conan. Didn't I? Every time you asked me, how was my match?
Which one, Conan or Super Conan?
Well, actually, this was Conan before his operation, so that's actually even... that's a high compliment. Yeah, there you go.
And Steve Sims, you paid me the highest compliment when you said I'm the second greatest wrestler of Scottish descent.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, I want to ask you then, never take a trip to Scotland and see the wrestlers there, because then I'll probably be, 17th or 18th in line.
Oh, no. You'll always be first in my book, really.
Why, thank you.
Oh, this podcast is turning into the nicest podcast ever now, It
is. It started to be a feud, but it's kind of like
we were getting into this whole argument over South Park, and Dr. Lucha just turned us back into being friends again.
Dr. Lucha, you should have like a talk show now where you bring wrestling fans together. You can bring a bunch of smarks together. They start arguing over what constitutes a 5-star match.
They could argue over Mistico and Tiger Mask 4.
Yeah, there you go. Dr. Lucha. We could call you Dr. Jerry Lucha.
I think I'll pass on that. Dr. Lucha Jr. is stealing enough of somebody else's gimmick anyway.
Oh, no, that would be... Don't you see... You could come onto the show with a bottle in your hand and slowly get soused, but you'd still bring everybody together. You could be a wreck at the end of the show.
If they don't start going to the gym, I'll start looking like him weight-wise, so I better get back to the gym. Hey, I want to know something about Stalker Ichikawa versus Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too. Kurt, did you watch that? No, huh?
No, but I did watch the Stalker Ichikawa versus Abi Taro match, which was...
that was Abdullah
terrible.
Match. The Abdullah match. You gotta see the entrance for Abdullah. You know how it's like a really long ramp?
Yeah.
He's already blowing up halfway through the...
Oh, my Lord.
It's just, I think this was probably the worst Stalker Ichikawa match. Just because, the guy just Abdullah, I mean, 30 years ago, you would have been scared of Abdullah. Nowadays, he's kissing little kids in the front row. And it's just like, man, come on. Stick to the old guys are supposed to stay as they're supposed to be kayfabe, aren't they?
Yeah, but it's hard to be a heel when you're over 60.
Yeah. And
and I think
you're always a living legend.
And I think Abdullah made the choice to break kayfabe when the Sheik died, because remember, just days afterwards, after a match in Japan, he grabbed the microphone and announced that the Sheik had died. I think it's the first time he ever cut a promo.
Plus, it's kind of hard to be a heel when your pants are already up to your neck, you know. That's the other problem there, too.
Maybe that's why his voice was so high.
There you go. How about the match itself? He blew up getting to the ring, but what happened once he was in the ring?
Well, they immediately went back outside. Well, first of all, when he's trying to get in the ring, he spends like about a good couple of seconds trying to get in the ring. Abdullah Butcher's trying to get in the ring. And you kind of start wondering, is somebody going to help him in? Because he's having a hard time getting in the ring. So when Stalker Ichikawa comes in, they immediately take the match out to the floor, and they're brawling around the table and hitting each other. And during the whole match, there's this Japanese guy who has like a clown voice. So you know,
clown voice?
You know, like a real like screechy voice, like you remember Ren and Stimpy?
Yes.
Kind of like a voice that would just like irritate. So
how funny! I'm already picturing my nightmare tonight.
Yeah. So
or like any Mexican actor, male adult actor on a children's show.
Yeah. That's it. That's what it is. And you're trying to and that was fine during this match, but like for the rest of the show, you're just worn out with the guy's voice. It's like, oh my God, seriously, shut that guy's mic off, you know. So,
kind of, you want to see Stalker and Abdullah finish off the announcer rather than each other.
Well, that's what I was kind of hoping for. But they go to the outside. And they basically just have an Abdullah outside the ring sort of match. They get back in, and Abdullah finishes them off with the elbow. And that's pretty much it. You know, they go home, and that's it. And then he just walks back to the starts shaking everybody's hand and everything.
Well, next time I'm over to your house, Alfredo, I really want to see that.
You're gonna have to watch it. So, Steve, what's with the clowns? What's with the
I'm sorry?
What's with the clowns now? How many clowns are we going to have in AAA?
I don't know. If there's a murder clown, then that takes away my gimmick I was dreaming of.
You were hoping for a murdered clown.
Yeah, I do believe the story is that the two of them quit.
Wow.
There's the one that's left is left because the other two quit, so they just start sticking two new clowns on the team and going to start another winning streak, I guess, or they may continue the streak they have now. But it appears that the two of the three guys that never lost in the ring and never got their pay increased once went and quit.
Wow,
amazing! Now, earlier on Brian's show, you were mentioning that there's a lot of unrest in the dressing room. Is this connected with kind of like the different factions, like the Conan group and the Roldan group?
I think you can trace it to the main man in AAA. I think you can put it all on the shoulders of Octavio Lopez.
Really?
Because it started the moment he walked back in the room after not being able to get $8,000 a show on the independent circuit.
$8,000.
And he's come back, and things have just picked up right where they left off, and people in the locker room is just a roiling bunch of feuds and people that don't like each other anymore.
Wow.
Boy, I mean, half the fun about AAA is just hearing the locker room tales.
Yeah, I mean, just everybody quitting, too. I mean, is Sean Waltman gone? Or is he still at Comic-Con?
No, I think the best way to say it is that Sean is in a world and in a way of thinking.
Steve again.
Steve,
no, fire station is close to where I live.
Are they arresting you?
Steve's on his bottle again.
This is fire, not police.
Okay.
I am the murder clown, not the fire clown.
I thought you were walking naked down the street again, and the neighbors just had to call 911. Pulling another Dr. Jerry Graham.
That I could respond a million different ways to that, but I better go back to the original where we're heading.
Uh-huh.
Lucha related, at least, but
yes.
Since Cibernetico came back, things have deteriorated. He's back at the top. They are changing finishes of the main events because of him, so there's not jobs being done anymore. I mean, Alfredo, it's finally your chance for your Triple Mania 17 report. And Wagner versus Mesias match, which, knowing your rating system, you probably gave 6.5 stars to.
Yeah, I actually gave it 7.
7 stars.
Half a point. You're off by half a point. No, actually,
7 stars and 4 pluses.
Yeah, there you go. I don't really give star ratings to matches. I just say if they're good or they're bad. I'm not really much of a star rating. I just mentioned, I brought up the 2 stars since Figure 4 is always big on the star rating system. You know, they're always like, but I thought it was a good match, but there were certain points in the match where you're just watching, you're thinking it's WWE all over again.
Well, and it sounds with Cibernetico coming and finishes being changed right and left, sounds like they're planning along the lines of WWE nowadays, just kind of off the top of their heads.
Yeah, I mean, Cibernetico, I mean, I'm guessing, I just hope they don't do what Paraguayo does on his shows, where nobody jobs.
Non-finishes in the main event by law?
Yeah.
Just kind of like you're going to the escapades and seeing them go in circles.
Yeah. So how's Juventude's show doing now? How was that show?
I'm sorry, how was which show?
Juventud Guerrero show, the Super X.
Well, it's not so much a promotion as they found a money mark to put up some funds so they can run events and stuff. I mean, it gets press, but it only kind of gets press because there's nothing else going on at that particular time, or there's a bunch of websites that are looking for the latest news and information to post. I really don't think very much will happen to it. It's called Super X, and I really think it'll all be gone and dead within 60 days.
Do you think in their heads...
Even if it were legit, they don't have TV, so it's not going to matter.
Do you think in their heads that they think this is going to work, or do you think they're just kind of taking the money marks for whatever cash they can and waiting till the money runs out?
It seems to be on episode 8 of Slamming Stand, which I highly recommend people listen to. It was the only 2-visitor episode of the show so far. that our host from the almost Inland Empire area of LA County said that, you know, you really have to say a lot of the wrestlers are crap.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestlers as a whole are not very nice people.
Yeah.
This is true. Yeah.
It's that way in Mexico too. They're just taking advantage of a money mark.
Wow, amazing. I mean, I shouldn't say amazing, but even after hanging around it this many years, it still amazes me.
and I went even further and said they were just lazy Mexicans.
And I had to get up and say, wait, I said nothing about that. I said nothing about that.
And you had to PC it. You had to be politically correct and make sure that I was not saying that, right?
I was actually shocked when you and Superboy said at that time.
Well, that's true. I mean,
I went slack-jawed.
But you know, it's just that it just amazes me how they have an opportunity. Somebody's throwing money in their way, and they just don't do it the right way. You know, like all these guys who are leaving AAA and CMLL. Why don't they just get together and make one big promotion? You know, put everybody's money together and. No,
it never works. You know, one of the age-old stories. One of the age-old stories, not just in Mexico, but
everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially when there's a number of indie groups. A lot of people say, let's get the indie groups to work together, and everybody says there's no way it could fail. And then it never works.
You have that one show. You always have that one show where it's every single indie group. Well, actually, this was when was MPW?
Millennium. That was like around 2000, 2001, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I remember they were part of that group that would do those super shows.
That would last 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden those super shows became PWG and ROH and all those other promotions. They took an idea and they went with it. Hey, they said, let's get rid of all these other groups and just do it ourselves, you know?
That reminds me of 2 sayings, one of which is, a little serious, and one of which is analytical. The more serious one is the reason there are all these small promotions is because everybody wants to be king of their small promotion. They all want to be the big fish in whatever size pond they can fit in, and by putting all the promotions together, they're all just little fishes in one pond. So it's never going to work that way. But the more salient observation is from an old friend, Jeff Siegel, back in Chicago, who said, after working with Eddie Sharkey's group one time, he says, it's amazing that professional wrestlers can even stand and walk to the ring with as many knives as they have in their backs.
That's very true. And that's from the indie level to the big time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing how they can't, nobody can get along. Even the nice guys have to be a little, well, remember when we were talking about running a show, Superboy didn't like some of the guys that we thought were nice guys to us, remember? I mean,
exactly. And he's one of the nicest people I've known in the biz.
Yeah.
And, you can even see he had a different philosophy of booking a card than we did. Yeah. And even as something as silly as Incredibly Strange Wrestling, Johnny Legend and I mean, we're really good friends. I love Johnny to death, but we'll drive each other crazy because even something that wacky, we have different ideas of what would work and what wouldn't.
Oh, Kurt, have you seen those guest booker DVDs? Have you heard of those?
I've heard of them. I've never seen one.
Well, you know how they're bringing in Jim Cornette?
Yeah.
I was thinking of them. I came up with the perfect person for them to get for their next show or their next DVD.
Johnny?
Guess what it? Who?
Johnny?
Yeah, what is that? Johnny Legend booking WCW.
I would love that because all you'd have to do is turn on the DVD, ask him one question, and he will talk to you for several hours. He'll go through several DVDs.
How many under the rope battle royale do you think we would see on WCW?
Oh yes. Oh, it would. WCW would have had a fighting chance if Johnny Legend was booking it. Well, the cool thing about Johnny Legend is that's one of the few times where when Incredibly Strange Wrestling was running up in San Francisco, it was Johnny with his cast of ideas, like his gimmicks like Cletus the Fetus Kincaid and the Ku Klux Klan. Negro Kiss Ass was one of his ideas. And then there was the J.R. Benson and Ron Head faction who came up with ideas like the Abortionist. Then Physico and I had our bag of ideas. And we actually got along pretty well. And the cool thing about Johnny is, I bet you he thought a lot of our ideas were just like, but he still let us do them anyway. He always would fit our ideas into his shows. Sometimes even let us kind of eclipsing his ideas.
Whose idea was the Neighba Hoodz?
That was the Neighba Hoodz. That was Craze and the late Tech Nine.
Who came up with the idea?
Those two did. It was.
Oh, okay.
They were just huge. They were huge fans of Public Enemy.
Yeah,
and it was mainly a spin-off on that. And they and that was, I think some of their first matches were incredibly strange, as were Chaos and Supremes, who were dubbed the Incredibly Strange Brothers. But it worked for a while, but Johnny and the woman Otter Remorse up in San Francisco had a huge falling out. Again, that's another thing that always happens in wrestling. You have two people working together. And it was going well. I mean, those shows in San Francisco were selling out. And they were over. And, they had a lot of really cool bands like the Bomboris and the Mentors. A lot of good bands playing on the shows. But
that's why one of my friends who said if he ever started a promotion, and he actually ended up doing it in Wisconsin, he said he was never going to hire and work with anybody he liked or knew because he was going to keep them all business. It's all going to be a business relationship, and he was going to hire people that he didn't know and wouldn't have any, skin in the game, and he wouldn't care that much about hurting their feelings.
Yeah. He's smart. That's actually very smart because the awkward thing when the falling out between Johnny Legend and Otter Morse happened, I got along with both of them really well. I have no idea what happened between the two of them because neither will talk about it to anybody. And but the bottom line was I had been friends with Johnny for 7 years, and I wasn't gonna sacrifice my friendship with him just so I could work on her shows, because she kept running for, I think, another 5 years or so.
Did she stop already, or is she still going?
She stopped, I think, around 2 years ago. She still has a trademark on the name Incredibly Strange Wrestling, but I don't think she's done any shows for a while. And they still, the last one she ran, I think, still did good crowds. I think those she had falling outs with everybody. The other people she worked with too. So, well,
are we into campy film thoughts yet?
No, we haven't got to that. Kurt's supposed to bring up the.
And you know what? I am sadly.
I'm looking at this standtheembryo.com, and I see a YouTube clip queued up under the topic 14er fight. Which one of these three distinguished gentlemen with the Q-tip heads is Christopher Jones?
Neither of them. Christopher Jones is the young rock star in the movie Wild in the Streets that was made in 19... Why do
I want to click on the guy with the three old Q-tip heads?
Well, that's how YouTube's doing it, man. I don't know what the fuck they're up to. They're high. They're taking drugs or something.
They probably think Mil Mascaras is 73.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's scary. I think he's 73, and I'm sober.
You guys better not start arguing over that.
Then it will have to be Dr. Lucha versus Vandal Drummond.
Take it to Twitter.
If I win, Dr. Lucha has to be Dr. Jerry Lucha from now on.
Dr. Jerry Lucha. Couldn't you introduce him as Dr. Jerry Lucha just so people can be confused? There's another
this
Dr.
movie,
Lucha.
Wild in the Streets.
14er fight.
14er fight. Now, Steve, have you heard of this film before?
Never heard of it.
This is a great fucking movie. It has Shelley Winters, Ed Begley Jr., a very small role with Richard Pryor as one of the hippies. And basically, it's all these teenagers who are fed up with the establishment, and they get a law passed that makes the legal voting age 14. That's also the age you can run for president. And so the star Christopher Jones plays a rock star, Max Frost, who runs for president, and when they become president, they start putting LSD in the water system, and they put everybody over 30 in LSD concentration camps.
So Christopher Johnson is the guy with the ponytail?
Yes. It's...
I'm now playing the clip, so... It's a trailer.
We're going to hear this during the show, the trailer.
Look, if Brian can watch something in the background while he's doing his podcast, surely I can watch something in the background.
Oh, and I still remember the song. The theme song was, Nothing can change the things to come. Nothing can change the things to come. And better yet, the Ramones covered it about 10 years ago. Well, 12 years ago.
You guys don't see me turning on the TV and watching the Dodger game, do you?
Yeah, but this is Wild in the Streets, and you want to know
why
the
I
best.
Don't, right?
You want to know the best thing about this?
What?
You want to know the best thing about this movie?
What?
It's being remade.
By who?
I don't know who. In fact, well, okay. Fredo, you watched the Dodger game. You watched the trailer, Steve. I will go to Internet Movie Database and I'll see who is remaking this film. Yeah, 2009. The directors.
I will entertain the crowd while you guys
That's
do your internet searching.
The director is the great Peter Baxter, who has directed almost nothing before this. But Wild in the Streets is a camp classic being remade. I would love to see what they're doing with it. Wow. Anybody who has not seen this film, you can find it on DVD. I also recommend maybe doing a double feature, or if you watch the movie, I believe from 1967, called Psych Out. Psych Out, which stars Jack Nicholson as a hippie in Haight-Ashbury, who befriends a deaf girl who's running away, and
I think I've seen that actually.
Oh, have you seen it? It's a
but I don't remember. I think I've seen something where Jack Nicholson acts like that, but I can't remember. I don't remember the names or anything. I just remember like...
It's a laugh riot, and it actually has a really good soundtrack with Strawberry Alarm Clock, and The Seeds with the late Sky Saxon. There's some really good music and really good footage of Haight-Ashbury in the day.
When's your next playlist coming up on your website? I need new music.
Next time I go jogging, which will probably be tomorrow night, and I'm planning on doing a good hour and 15-minute run.
You're not going to go watch Inglourious Basterds? No?
I will at some point, I imagine.
You'll wait for it on DVD? Netflix? It's a Netflix, or is it?
No, I think I will try to check it out.
It's got a good soundtrack.
I haven't checked out the soundtrack yet.
Yeah, I downloaded it, so I
still say going back to Swamp Girl, Okefenokee Swamps. I wonder if Quentin Tarantino has ever seen that film, because I would do almost anything to see Quentin Tarantino remake Swamp Girl.
There probably isn't anything he hasn't seen, because he'll bring up some of the most random movies that even like TV shows that you've never heard of, and he'll just like talk about it. He'll know every character and everything.
In fact, I wonder if either of you people remember his 1995 appearance on the Jon Stewart Show, where he and Johnny Legend both chewed out Jon Stewart for not knowing who the director Jack Hill was.
Well, I didn't have cable back then.
I do not remember that.
I actually
that was when Jon Stewart had it wasn't a cable show. It was on whatever the equivalent of the UPN network was back then.
Oh, it wasn't MTV? Because he had an MTV show, didn't he?
Yeah, this was before the MTV show. And Johnny was a guest occasionally on the show. Johnny was able to plug his, the re-release of the movie Spider Baby. And both he and Quentin Tarantino were telling Jon Stewart that the greatest film director of all time was Jack Hill, who did the movie Switchblade Sisters, which is another excellent film and everybody should check out. Another great Jack Hill film is Coffee with Pam Grier from 1973, where she plays a little avenging angel going out trying to kill all the drug pushers who sold her little sister or her niece drugs, and she overdosed. So she goes away with a shotgun blowing people's heads off. She's awesome in this flick.
So you watch a lot of violent movies.
Only the good ones. There's a lot of bad movies.
You know what I was going to ask you? Have you seen that YouTube clip of Johnny Legend singing Pencil Neck Geek? I think it's Pencil Neck Geek.
No, I didn't.
No, it's a talk show from I think Memphis, from Tennessee or something. And he shows up and he plays it. I think I downloaded it onto my.
You'll have to send me that link, because I would very much like to see that.
I'll look for. I think it's on YouTube, because I remember it. When you look at my remember I put up all the rock and wrestling stuff up on my page.
Yes.
It used to link to it, but I don't know if they took it down or anything.
Oh my Lord! Well, Fredo, I still say you got to get on Facebook so you can turn us all on to all this cool shit.
Yeah, or maybe update my website every so often.
Now, Dr. Lucha, are you totally entranced?
Would that be Lucha World, or would that be slambamjam.com, where you can buy certain things?
Actually, I should probably post more stuff on slambamjam.com about because I have an entertainment section.
That would be very cool. See, I think between the three of us, we've got a lot of good cinema experience, a lot of voyeur in the theaters, and I think we find the really cool stuff instead of that god-awful Jean-Luc Godard crap that people are always trying to say is so brilliant.
What movies is he?
I like him much better as Captain of the Starship Enterprise.
Yeah, we don't even know what you're talking about, Kurt.
No, I do. He did a movie. In fact, any Lucha fan should know this movie called Pierrot Le Faux.
We should review all those Lucha movies. But I don't think I could sit through them, though.
I'm still waiting for Kurt to pull out pull out is a very bad word for what I'm about to reference here.
Uh-oh.
To reference the ultimate Lucha movie of all time, Santa Sangre.
Oh, my God. I have not thought of that movie in a long time.
If only because it's got Super Popi in the altogether.
Yes. For any of you classic wrestling fans from the 80s, you get a brief scene with Popi Tekis in the nude there.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, watch out.
So this
Popi was not just any wrestler either. He was the Mexican national heavyweight champion.
And an awesome one at that. In fact, where is Popitecas today? Have there been any Popitecas sightings in the last 2 or 3 years?
There haven't been any.
Didn't he wrestle like 5 years ago, I think? I think that's
he did wrestle for a while, but as he got older and his knees just got, he was carrying all that weight. His knees just got shot, and he eventually just tuned it down and just wrestles just enough to keep his license.
In fact, I was told he works a government job where he has to go, do collections for some government agency. Could you imagine him coming to your door and saying, okay, you owe us a little money?
Especially if you've just watched Santa Sangre.
Kurt, is your Super Popi page still up?
I have no idea. Probably not.
Because I remember that was the first web page I found. I think that was one of the first wrestling web pages I found.
Actually, Kurt, I will call on you for a little mini review because the multitudinous hundreds of thousands of people listening to the podcast may not realize this, but Santa Sangre was actually a very serious film and very well done.
A very well done film, a very deeply disturbing film, but a very brilliant film nonetheless. Wrestling was just a small subplot of it where Popitecas, Judas, and a few other wrestlers of the era got smacked around by a huge transvestite wrestler. And
it sounds funny, but actually if you watch the whole thing, there's a logical sense to the world that the director creates.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. It was almost 20 years ago when I saw it. I'll never forget Pat Hood, who the XPW crowd knows as Larry Rivera, actually called me on the phone during an intermission when he was seeing a screening of Santa Sangre. And I'm going, Pat, what's up? And, that guy's seen probably every unsettling movie in the history of mankind. And he just goes, dude, this is the strangest movie I've ever seen in my life, and our boy Popi is in it. And I'm going, no way. And that's all he had to tell me to go see the movie. But it's an unusual tale about a dysfunctional family who lives in a traveling circus.
Oh, the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I like that. Oh, Lord.
Fredo, they just took the lead on the Cubs 2-1, so you don't have to watch them. You can still listen to Kurt's Santa Sangre analysis.
Now, I never knew how to pronounce the director's name. Alejandro Jodorowsky or Hodorowski?
Hodorowski.
Yeah, he's done a whole slew of unusual films. He's done El Topo, which is, I've never seen that one, but that one had quite a following. But Santa Sangre, a dysfunctional family in a traveling circus with a very lusty father and a very repressed mother. Santa Sangre represents the holy blood that she claims is flowing in the little chapel. Oh, man.
It's kind of like the director is a Fellini here, and instead of using the typical Fellini Italian love running through is the plot device that runs through everything, this family runs through everything here. Wow. And the blood is what the mother tries, the holy blood, she tries to pass along the holy faith to her kids in a real, and everybody is off on a real unique little island of their own.
Yes, and in her trying to pass that holy blood to her son, instead, after her passing, her ghost follows her son everywhere and commands him to do unspeakable things. And the one thing, as chilling as this movie is, the one thing that just blew me away was when the mother, appears as the ghost. The chemistry between her and the son of the two actors were just impeccable. I mean, you're right, Steve. It was a really well-done film.
All this and Popi naked.
Yeah, Popi naked. Popi sin ropa. So everybody, all you perverts out there who are into really chunky men, go rent out Santa Sangre.
Is this movie 4 3/4?
We started the podcast talking about Doc, and we're ending it talking about Popi.
So are the Dodgers playing the Cubs?
The Dodgers are playing the...
Change the subject. He's disturbed now.
The Dodgers are playing the Cubs, so maybe they'll finally get a victory, although Cubs fan is just beside himself. This season has not turned out like the way they thought.
I'm going to be gloating on the CubsFan.com later tonight. Join me.
Just don't say the words Kevin Gregg to him.
Kevin Gregg.
Kevin Gregg is their closer that they demoted from closer because he blew so many saves.
So who'd they go back to, Marmol?
Is that like Lanny Poff?
I don't know that they've actually named. I don't know if they've named somebody or not yet.
Oh, they won't. Let's just hope they don't need him tonight. The Dodgers need a win tonight. Tired of them losing.
They do. The Giants lost today, and the Rockies were off, so a win would be nice. But but back to the better topics at hand. I have a question for you guys. If you guys were booking, Pimpy has asked Gato out on a date. Gato says, "I'm not that kind of guy." Pimpy kisses him at the restaurant, and Gato gets all angry at him. So what would you guys do, and how would you take the storyline from there if you were booking it?
I would book them on a Royal Caribbean cruise together. That's paid for by Pimpinela. Gato will slowly see that, Pimpinela's intentions are not purely sexual. It's, true love is in the air. I believe that they'll get together, get married, and Pimpy will become Pimpinela Eveready. They will give birth to a half-cat, half-man woman. And I think we even mentioned this on the last show, Fredo, that she will start out as a mini, and each week will grow until they get to the size of Gronda.
There you go.
We'll have the first gigantic feline transvestite.
Yeah, just imagine Gronda, Pimpinela, and Gato Eveready combined together.
And he will never do a job.
Unbeatable.
Yes, unbeatable. Take that, you murderous clowns.
The most dangerous transvestite ever.
Exactly. It's a whole new age coming.
There you go.
So Steve Sims. Steve, I was going to ask, could we have you on again really soon? I would love to pick your brain about your whole history of discovering Lucha, because I remember I started doing the Viva La Lucha newsletter, but once you started covering the Lucha scene, man, I want to burn every copy I ever printed of that newsletter.
Oh, no, your stuff was gold. I remember that very well. That was... Those people who read Stan the Embryo now have a taste, because your writing style has matured, but your free association and your stream of consciousness topic switching was as sharp, if not sharper, back then. And even though you kept to the topic fully doing Viva La Lucha, and you even had occasional news in there.
I had a what?
It was the most entertaining. It was the most entertaining newsletter that's yet come out.
Wow, thank you. That's everything you just told me is probably one of the highest compliments I've ever received. So thank you very much.
Sure, is the check in the mail?
Sure, I think he said that last time on Brian Alvarez's show.
No, I didn't. Dave Meltzer kept calling Brian Alvarez's newsletter the funnest read in wrestling. That's what Dave said.
Yeah. I actually, was it really, not to knock Brian or anything, but was it really different back in a couple of years ago?
It was way different. It was a comedy newsletter up until about 2 or 3 years ago.
It should go back to being a comedy newsletter, because I don't really like I don't know, I mean, I
loved his comedy. The headline that I'll never forget is that after Rob Feinstein got tagged on that perverted justice sting, how the next headline was that...
By the way, Kurt, if I could interrupt, it is the top of the hour if you guys got to do your plugs quickly.
We will in a second, but I have to, because Brian Alvarez, this was the greatest thing he ever wrote. He said that Rob Feinstein's regrouping to start Ring of Scouts Honor. I'll never forget just doubling over just reading the headline. But yeah, it is the top of the hour, and yeah, I agree. Brian Alvarez should do comedy again. The other one I loved is when he did a little blurb on the Big Show, being enraged that they changed the name of the BK broiler to the Chicken Whopper at Burger King, and that he was expecting a nice fried sandwich, but it's grilled, and he's horrified.
Oh God.
Brian Alvarez had a good funny bone. I bet he still does, but he's just not playing it.
He still does, but now it's much easier to do a weekly newsletter that's a lot of news when you get more and more into the MMA, because so much is happening in that field.
This is true.
You can never run out of, even if you're just doing an 8-page newsletter. It's going to be a long time before you run out of news to cover in that world.
Yeah, this is true. Never ending. And you could do a newsletter covering all the multiple organizations that no other newsletters have the time to cover. It's like wrestling is like music these days. There's so many different styles and promotions out there. It's never ending what you could cover. Well, Steve, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the show. It is always awesome to have you on. I want to thank you for starting a feud between Alfredo and I, and then thank you for patching it up. We're all a happy family again, just like the Brady Bunch.
Well, Alfredo, don't visit a barber anytime soon, because I want to see a hair match.
Oh, there we go, Fredo. We got to start growing our hair. Right, and we'll call Physico and ask him to grow his mask so we can shave his mask if he loses. And
we're going to save the ultimate stipulation for if you guys do it Incredibly Strange Wrestling. This will be a put the mask on stipulation.
There you go.
I love that.
Whoever the fans
have to wear a mask through eternity.
Stop the match. Have the fans vote for whoever's uglier, and you have to put the mask on.
Oh, Steve, you just came up with a great booking idea. I think Incredibly Strange is coming back.
Kurt, I think we're both losing that match.
I think so too. It's going to be a whole new century.
There you go.
Well, Fredo, the websites on your end.
Okay, my websites are luchaworld.com and slambamjam.com, with a bunch of new DVDs up. Will be updated frequently this week and next week with new Lucha, probably by next Friday.
Check out Fredo's sites. They are awesome. My site is www.stantheembryo.com. A lot of good little timeline feeds that I've been putting up on there. A lot about a little and a little about not much.
And don't forget your upcoming article from Dr. Lucha.
That's right. Dr. Lucha. Soon
how
to be.
How the crowd can make a great match.
There you go.
I like that.
That's the next Stand the Embryo article.
That's it. And
I hope it's not the next one, because it won't be ready for a couple of weeks.
Oh, take your time on it. Should I put some pictures of naked ladies on it, like I did for that Lady Godiva?
Boobies.
Okay.
Boobies.
Well, even though it'll have nothing to do with the article, when Dr. Lucha puts a story up, we're going to put pictures of naked ladies on there. So
Kurt,
everybody check that out when it comes.
Kurt, what happened to Hansu?
Hansu?
Yeah, what happened to him? He used to post on your...
He used to. You know what? I'm going to have to take him to task for that. He's on Facebook, and he's not going on standtheembryo.com. You will rue the day you did that. In Athens, Georgia, I'm going to have to chase him down, bring him back.
He had some good recommendations for music.
He has great taste in music.
Yeah.
He has great taste in music, great taste in wrestling. Okay. Oh, Hansu, since you have not posted anything on standtheembryo.com, it's now going to be a four-way. Fredo Esparza, Vandal Drummond, Physico Nuclear, and Hansu. It's a four-way now. So
Brian Alvarez refereeing.
Brian Alvarez will be the referee, and maybe he'll win the match.
There you go.
Incredibly Strange, my folks. It's got to come here soon. So this is Vandal Drummond along with Fredo Esparza and Steve Dr. Lucha Sims, reminding all of you, if you are strolling through Southern California on a starry night and you see a bright light shooting across the sky, it is not a shooting star, no. It is a heavenly handful of Moncel's powder. Until next week, we will see you folks. Take care. Have a good one, my babies.